So we shoot a little video here on how to install the USAutomatic's 550011 infrared photo eyes. This is just to show you here. It comes all nicely packaged in a box. But when you come over here, this is what all comes in your box. You'll have your two gaskets that'll go on the back side. You'll line up the dimples here on each one of these. This will be your wired side. As you'll see in the instructions where your wires will go, this will be the battery side. This is where your 3.6, not a normal AA, but a 3.6 volt will come. You do have the option, if you want to run them powered, you can run power wires over here to these two terminals. You'll have your two front covers. You will have two brackets. I've already got one up on my display here. Your two rain covers. They'll slip right over the top. The actual housings, which both have the little knockouts if you wind up needing to power both sides or just do your one. Your instruction manual, the two 3.6 volt batteries. Again, they look like AA, they're not. They are a 3.6 volt lithium battery. And then you have your hardware kit. So I'll be mounting mine here on our test bench. You can see I have our LiftMaster eyes. This is where my secondary bracket went. You're going to want to put these on each side of your gate. I mean, again, mine's just a demo, so I've got some wood screws going into this base here. But you can see one of your bolt holes will be slotted in case you need to pivot this side to side. Typically in your gate situation, you would be on each side like this, and then that allows you your tilt front to back. But there is a little flex in these if you need to tweak them a little bit, but you do have the option to mount your boxes like this or like this. So you could do your bracket in a standing up or a hanging down or up type situation. Now again, as I said, I'm working on a test bench here, so my situation's a lot more perfect per se than yours would be out in the field, as far as I'm not having to do any welding, and I'm working on a square table so I can actually see that my brackets are straight. Camera holder not so much, but when you're working alone, using a box works. We're going to get that in there and move on to the next. Now I've gone ahead and laid out my hardware. Again, I'm working on a flat surface, so this is best case scenario in the world. Nothing's going to blow away or roll away, but you do want to keep track of this stuff out in the field because it is tiny. I've separated it all. You've got 4 bolts and 4 nuts. That's going to hold this housing to our brackets. That's set for each of them. And then the next step would be your silver screws are going to actually anchor, remember your gasket, but they're actually going to go into here to anchor the photo eye itself to the housing. And then lastly, you have 4 little black screws, 2 apiece, will hold these covers on once you're ready and fully assembled. One thing I do want to point out is one side is going to have to be wired. You're obviously going to want it to be the controller side, but I would go ahead and at this point, before you mount this, go ahead and do your knockout. Typically, you want to do them on the bottom. Even the best grommets can allow water intrusion. So you'll want to go ahead and make that before you actually get it mounted up here, because then it's not so fun to make your hole. Now again, I'm working indoors on a demo. It'll never see moisture, hopefully. So all I've done is I drilled a tiny hole for mine, just big enough for my wire. Do want to say that USAutomatics does not come with the wire, but you just want a 20 gauge 4-strand. And typically you would have a watertight grommet of some sort going into the bottom of that. So now what we're going to do is get my bolts in here, and we're going to go ahead and mount this to the bracket. Now what I typically try to do is go ahead and get my bolts in there and then we're just going to line them up. You might be more talented than me and have a better method of what works for you. But again, this is why you want to get your grommet in there now, depending on how you're mounting these. Now, my mount, like I said, is not very typical. It's just because that's how it works out for my demo, utilizing this top area for photo eyes. I don't want them on my demo down here where I might be working on an actuator or motor or something else and be tripping them when I'm trying to test or anything. So, but yeah, you definitely want to get your grommet and everything set up first. Typically, your box is going to be, we'd be looking at it down right now, and your grommet would be pointing down. So we'll go ahead and get our nuts and get them put on and go on to the next step. Now here's the instructions that come with our eyes. If you're putting them on after the fact, this will be all that you have. However, if this is a new install, you're going to have your nice colored manual. This is on a Patriot board today. But if you look in your manual, in your Patriot book, you're going to notice that all your wires go to the same place. Here is the HD book, same place, 7, 8, and 12. Here is the Ranger 500, 7, 8, 12, same place. And lastly, the Patriot RSL slider. You are also 7, 8, 12, exact same places on every board you work on. They come with great colored pictures showing you open direction or closed direction. The sliding gate, you're obviously going to have both because you have to have the entrapment protection on both ends. Ours today will just be for the closed direction. So basically, I'm going to wire mine. Just follow your colors. I mean, I don't have a green on mine. The wire that I buy comes with a yellow. So I'm going to wire all my other 3 colors the same and then know that my yellow is the green in the picture. But it's pretty simple. Just follow the directions. We're going to come right in here. I'm going to go ahead and wire up my sensor first. As you can see, my black to the 0. Red's going to go to my 12 volts. C is to common. Or I'm sorry, my yellow to green will be common, and my white will be my normally closed. Okay, so here I've got my sensor wired up. Again, I just follow the same color pattern with the exception of the green and yellow wire being different. You got to pull that back out and nip that off. Watch your wires. You don't want them too long. You don't want them hitting each other or hitting anything else. Just use a little nice etiquette on that. Another thing I want to point out that I've done several times before is this battery one has the same holes in it, but you can see my wires have come through a hole. If you don't, you can't close it, so you would have your wire in the way, but your gasket has these dimples on it. They're going to push into the back of this, just like that, nice and tight. Get any dust or anything off. But you're going to want to bring your wires through that hole prior to wiring them up. If you don't, it would not properly seat. You'd have the wire in the way. So a little heads up to save you some headache there. So now what I'm going to do is set the camera down because I've got to have both hands, but I'm going to tuck this wire back and go ahead and mount this guy right here. And I'm again going to use these silver screws, and I'm going to go ahead and get these 4 seated here. Now that I've got this sensor secured, it's wired up. I have not connected my power to the board yet. I've just got it laying here. I'm going to go ahead and mount my other side. You might get sometimes these little boards will fall out. If they do, you can set them aside. They just kind of clip in there on the edges, but obviously you want the eye up. Make sure you have your rubber gasket on it. If you've chosen to wire it, go ahead and do so now before you get it in there. You can see there you got your positive and negative, 12 or 24 volts. I'm going to stick with using my 3.6 volt batteries on this side. So now we're going to go ahead and put this guy in here, and you just want to make sure it's seated in the hole, make sure the gasket's everywhere, and then we're going to go ahead and run our silver screws in it. Okay, I've got my battery side in. It's all ready to go minus batteries. I've got my wired side in, minus connecting it to the actual board. At this time, I'm going to go ahead and install my batteries and wire this up, and then we'll get it lined up and make sure everything's good before installing our covers and our rain guards. Now, another tip is if you've never worked on a USAutomatic before, um, the screws are down here, so you would think, if you're in that control box, the last thing you want to do is be trying to get a screwdriver under here. But these, you can actually see the coloration in this one, the difference. But this plug will come out. You just kind of give it a little tug and wiggle. And now you can see you can access your screws and put your wires in. Just make sure you don't get flipped. It can't plug in the wrong way, but it sure can be frustrating whenever you have wired up a bunch of accessories installing something and then find out you've got it upside down. So just pay attention on that. We'll go ahead and get it wired up just like it says here. My black and yellow will go to 7. My white normally closed will go to 8. And then my power for the photo eyes is 12. A lot of people get confused because number 1 is power, but 12 is your power for your photo eye. It has to sense that or you're not going to get the gate to close. Okay, now that we've got our sensor wired up on both ends, now we're going to come over here and install our batteries. Obviously the negative goes towards the spring. In my install, they're both going to be down. Now at this time, you would normally have lights on this. You do want to make sure that dip switch 10 is on. That's for your power management for the photo eye. And then when you're testing, you're going to want 3 and 4 off. So you could actually line these up before, like on an install, you'd want to line them up early in the process. One thing I'm going to have to do real quick is get some power to my board because this demo does not have an arm on it right now. So I'm going to plug something up real quick and we'll line these things up. Okay, now I got me a Patriot arm plugged into the board, and I'm going to go ahead and plug up my connectors here. You can hear the click. I've already got a green light here. When I'm blocking the eye, it will turn red. Green means it's aligned. Another cool thing about USAutomatics is you can actually see right here TP negative, and right over here is TP positive. And what you can actually do is, without blocking the eye with my giant fat arm, you're going to want to plug those up and then look down here and you can see I've got right at 4.97 volts. Now what's cool is if you look in your instructions here, there's a way to check with your voltmeter right here. So it tells you all about your alignment. And what it's telling you is 5 is your maximum useful strength. So that means that is the best signal you can get. 3 would be your minimum. So say I was only getting 4, we could do some tweaking and try to get better. But you don't get no better than 5. So again, if you wave your hand in front of it, you'll hear it click. Now our last step here in our install is to install our face plates on them. Again, we got 2 little black Phillips head screws. Those are just going to go right over. You can see there's a little seal in there, and you're going to cover it. And this is why I leave the cover off primarily. I mean, we're indoors, and you can see it's kind of hard to see the green light. You can see the red when it changes, but it's kind of hard to see. So if you're out in the field and the sun's up, that can be quite challenging. So it's kind of nice leaving these off till you know you're where you need to be. So I'm going to go ahead and get these screws on, and then we'll pop the rain covers on. Okay, I've got both my covers on. This is plastic. You don't want to wrench down too hard, but you will wrench these further than you think to really push into those rubber seals. And then obviously pull the blue clear plastic off. Last step here is I call them rain covers. You can call them shade covers, whatever you want. But you can see there's a groove right here. Those grooves are going to ride on these. So they literally just slide right down on top. And that's it. you are all done with the install of these. There is a metal set. Let me grab the box real quick and I'll show you those. Again, what we installed today was the USAutomatics 550011 infrared photo eyes. There is a 550014 infrared, but they are actually metal. And what is metal on them, you still have the plastic shade or rain cover, plastic junction box, but now you've got a entire metal housing. So if you need something a little more durable, you got farm animals tearing stuff up, or people keep hitting your photo eyes, this might be a little better option for you. A little more expensive, but these, honestly, these little plastic ones work great. They're not, you know, as bad in the fog. These, like this LiftMaster one here with the reflectors. That's with any of the reflector ones. You run the risk of fog and stuff like that messing with them. For the most part, these infrared ones are through beams. You can hear them called too. They're pretty resilient. One more thing that's worth pointing out to you is, if, in case this is a new install, when you get done, before you can operate the gate, you are going to have to turn on, if these are for your closed eyes, you're going to turn on switch number 8, which is for the closed direction photo eyes. So like this single setup for a demo, I've got gate 1, the closed photo eyes, and the photo eye power. So I have 3, 8, and 10 on to be able to get anything to move. So you will want to pay attention. But that's it, guys. Hopefully this video helped you out. Any questions or comments, feel free to drop them below or get a hold of us, and we'll help you in any way we can. Thank you.